The first punch never landed, but the silence it created hit harder than anything that followed. In the middle of a brightly lit martial arts gym, surrounded by mirrors, trophies, and spectators who expected nothing more than a light-hearted spar, a tired janitor with calloused hands stood barefoot on the mat, eyes steady, breathing slow. No one knew that in those quiet seconds before movement, an entire lifetime of pain, discipline, and sacrifice was coiled inside him, waiting. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and hidden strength in ordinary people, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that greatness often walks among us unnoticed. Everyone in the gym that evening had come to see the black belt. He was famous locally, a rising star with social media clips showing flawless kicks, lightning-fast reflexes, and crowds chanting his name. His confidence filled the room like loud music, effortless and unquestioned. When he noticed the janitor quietly mopping the edge of the mat, wearing faded work clothes and moving with the slow precision of someone conserving energy, it seemed harmless to invite him onto the floor. The challenge was framed as fun, a friendly moment to entertain the crowd, something to laugh about before the real training resumed. The janitor hesitated, not out of fear, but out of memory. His life had not always smelled of cleaning chemicals and old floors. Years ago, before loss carved deep lines into his face, he had been a competitor himself. Not famous, not celebrated online, but disciplined, relentless, forged in small gyms where respect mattered more than applause. He had trained to survive, not to perform. Then life intervened the way it often does, without warning or mercy. A sudden illness took his wife, leaving him alone with a young child and a mountain of responsibility. Dreams that once burned brightly were packed away, replaced by night shifts, double jobs, and the quiet promise to be both mother and father. Cleaning the gym was not a step down in his mind, it was a step forward for his child. Every wiped mirror, every emptied trash bin paid for school supplies, meals, and a small apartment where laughter sometimes returned. He never spoke of his past. There was no room for nostalgia when rent was due and homework waited on the kitchen table. Yet the body remembers what the mouth stays silent about. Years of training lived in his posture, in the way he moved, in the calm that wrapped around him like armor. As he stepped onto the mat, the room buzzed with amused curiosity. The black belt expected awkward swings, stiff movements, something to joke about later. What he did not expect was the stillness. The janitor did not bow dramatically or assume a flashy stance. He simply stood, balanced, grounded, as if the mat belonged to him. The first exchange was light, exploratory, but something shifted immediately. The janitor's feet slid effortlessly, his guard was always in the right place, and his eyes missed nothing. Each motion was economical, almost invisible, but perfectly timed. The crowd's laughter faded into whispers. This was no joke. The black belt pressed harder, adding speed and power, determined to reassert control. Yet every advance met calm resistance. The janitor deflected, redirected, and countered without aggression, like water flowing around stone. There was no anger in him, no desire to humiliate. Only presence. Only truth. With every movement, fragments of his past surfaced. Early mornings training before work. Late nights perfecting techniques while others slept. The discipline that once defined him had never left, it had simply been repurposed. Where others trained for medals, he trained for endurance. Where others chased applause, he chased stability. The mat became a place where those two lives briefly overlapped. The decisive moment came not with a strike, but with control. As the black belt lunged, confident in his superiority, the janitor shifted his weight and guided the energy away, unbalancing him with effortless precision. In a heartbeat, the black belt was on the mat, pinned, staring up at a man he had underestimated. The room fell silent, the kind of silence that arrives when assumptions collapse. No celebration followed. The janitor released the hold immediately and stepped back, offering respect through restraint. That gesture spoke louder than any victory pose. The black belt rose slowly, not defeated, but transformed. In that instant, something fundamental changed. This was no longer about winning or losing. It was about humility. The gym owner, who had known the janitor only as a quiet employee who never complained, watched with disbelief. Questions surfaced. Who was this man? Where had he learned this? Why was someone with such skill cleaning floors instead of teaching classes? The janitor did not answer aloud. His story was written in the way he picked up his mop afterward, returning to work as if nothing extraordinary had happened. But nothing was the same. Word spread quickly, not through boasts, but through awe. Members began greeting him differently, with nods of respect instead of casual indifference. Some asked for advice, others simply thanked him for the lesson he had given without words. The black belt, to his credit, did not retreat into pride. He observed, reflected, and learned. He understood that true mastery was not about belts or titles, but about character. At home that night, the janitor helped his child with homework, listening to stories about school, smiling at small victories. He did not mention the Spar. To him, the most important audience had always been sitting at that small kitchen table. Strength, he believed, was measured by what you protect, not what you prove. Days later, the gym owner offered him a chance to teach part-time, recognizing not just his skill, but his example. The offer was not framed as charity, but as respect. The janitor accepted cautiously, balancing responsibility with opportunity. He taught quietly, focusing on fundamentals, discipline, and patience. Students noticed that his lessons felt different. They were not about dominance, but about self-control, resilience, and respect for others. The black belt attended those sessions too, standing alongside beginners, learning from the men who had humbled him. The hierarchy dissolved into something healthier, something human. In that space, titles mattered less than growth. What left everyone speechless was not the takedown itself, but what followed. The absence of ego. The refusal to capitalize on victory. The reminder that greatness often hides in plain sight, worn down by responsibility, softened by loss, and strengthened by love. As time passed, the janitor's life changed, not overnight, but steadily. Teaching supplemented his income. His child watched him with new eyes, proud not of fame, but of integrity. The gym transformed into a community that valued kindness as much as skill. All because one man chose humility over pride. Just before the ending, take a moment to comment below. Share what this story made you feel, or tell us about a time you discovered strength where you least expected it. Near the end of the year, during a small in-house tournament, the janitor sat in the audience, cheering quietly. He no longer needed to prove anything. His journey had come full circle, not back to who he was, but forward to who he had become. A father first. A teacher second. A fighter only when necessary. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you to look twice at the people you pass every day, please like this video, share it, and leave a heartfelt comment. Your engagement helps keep stories like this alive, stories that remind us that kindness, humility, and perseverance still matter in a noisy world.